There's a saying around the northern tier of Clinton County that you haven't really lived until you've been to Moore's. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel kind of lively today. It's March, it's spring, the weather forecast is typical spring weather in Moore's. It's supposed to be some snow, supposed to be some freezing rain and sleet, and then solid rain. We have no idea what the weatherman's going to do, but I guarantee you, here at Dragoon's farm equipment dealership on Route 11 in Moore's, the Appreciation Day for customers is going great guns. We just talked with Wayne Dragoon a few minutes ago, and Wayne told us they started coming in about 9:30 this morning. I'm not sure if they smelled the pancakes from West Chazy and Scioto, but they've been coming from all the directions of the compass. I even saw Jack LeDuc here from WCAX Channel 3 television in Vermont. Jack can smell pancakes almost as far away as Gordy Little has. I don't know how many years Calvin's been coming here. You did some years before I came here, right, Calvin? You and Bob? And we've been coming here for several years now, and we keep coming back. Why? What'd you say? 13th, really? That's fantastic. We keep coming back because we like the folks up here around Moore's. They come and visit from up in Canada. They come and visit from all the little towns and villages around here. And it's just a good day for camaraderie from not only from the farmers, but people who live here, who buy lawnmowers and chainsaws and tractors and big tractors and all kinds of equipment that I can't even name or describe. But it's a kick to come back here every year and talk to people. We saw, well, I'll mention it later, I saw Jack and Margaret downtown at one of our favorite restaurants a few weeks ago. I walked in, I said, "You actually left Moore's?" He said, "Yeah, my stomach was growling. I had to come down here and get a pizza." So we're going to talk to him, and we talked to Wayne and Gary and some of the other staff members here, maybe some of the people who represent the dealers who are here. But most importantly, I think we'll spend some time talking to just plain folks who dropped in, because it's a pleasure to keep coming back again and again to the Customer Appreciation Days at Dragoon's up in Moore's on Route 11. Who would ever guess there'd be this much excitement in Moore's? I just ran into Randy Beach in the hallway out there. He says, "Man, somebody would think there would be something going on around here today. Look at the traffic." How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Gordy.
Now, what's your first name?
Carl.
Carl
Shank.
Shank. Mm-hmm. I got it. Where are you from, Carl?
Champlain.
What brings you over here today besides just seeing what's going on?
Well, I wanted to come over and get something to eat, and we've got my wife and I have a small farm, and so we came over to look at the equipment today.
I heard your wife was getting in on the raffles. They always have some good raffles here.
Yes, she is. Yes.
And food.
The food's delicious. Everybody should come out and have a little bit today.
You know, it's not a bad idea to have these customer appreciation days to get the folks in the North Country together, just to meet your friends and to find out what other people are doing.
Yes.
Carl, let's talk about your farming. Have you always been in the farming business?
Well, I grew up on a farm, and then I went and I worked out in the industry for a long time, and then my wife and I retired to this area. We're not from around here, but we're from downstate.
Too young to retire.
And well, we retired, and we picked the North Country to retire, and so we bought a farm that was no longer working, and we raise hay, and so we enjoy what we're doing right now.
That's kind of the opposite of what normally happens here. When these little farms are no longer being used, they're no longer being used. So to have you come along and pick one up, that's kind of a neat idea.
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you, Gordy. I hate to see the land go like it does downstate to all these big developers, and if you can rescue one of these small farms that are more or less destined to go, it's worth it, and I wish more people would do that.
We got to find more people like you, buddy boy. I think that's a wonderful idea.
But that's why we did it.
You were born and brought up where now?
In Hyde Park, New York.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
This is a fur piece from Hyde Park, New York.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's nice and peaceful. That's why we enjoy it here.
So what did you do for a living previously?
I worked for Sears and Roebuck, and I was a serviceman. So that kind of broke me into fixing everything that breaks around the farm and tractors, and so.
Well, if you're going to have a farm, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know how to put things together with baling twine, and
That's true, and if not, you learn in a hurry.
you learn in a hurry.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
what attracted you to Champlain?
Well, it was just the peaceful, quiet area. My wife and I looked around for a long time before we came to rest, and it seems like the rest of the world is in a hurry, and Champlain isn't, and that's what we were looking for. So
I love it. The rest of the world is in a hurry, and Champlain isn't.
yeah, that's exactly right. So that's why we decided to come here. We just really like it.
I've said to Calvin any number of times, I wish we could show this program called Our Little Corner in the big cities, on the public access channels in New York and Chicago and Detroit. The people are so wound up, you know,
True.
making money, and there's nothing wrong with that, but developing all the wrong priorities for getting to be your age and then 30 years later my age, because they forget that you have to find a place to be quiet.
That's exactly true. And unfortunately, people realize that too late. And
Generally.
and it's fortunate for my wife and I that we were able to do it early in life. So we're going to enjoy it as long as we can.
So you've been up here how long?
We've been up here. Well, we've always had a summer home in the North Country for about 22 years.
Oh.
And but we've been here permanent now for the last 6. We built a home here, and so we're permanent North Country people, and we love it here and wouldn't have it any other way.
You built a home on the farmland that you bought?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
There was no old farmhouse there before?
There is still a farm house and a couple of old barns on the near the property that we purchased. But of course, the farm is not working anymore, and but we bought all the land that went along with the farm. So we built a home, and we enjoy just doing what we do, and that's retired life and doing a little farming and relaxing.
I saw a wonderful interview. I think it was on public television. I watch a lot of public television and public access television. And a very well-to-do older couple, maybe in their late 60s, early 70s, who could take their money and go wherever they wanted to do, live in big cities. The cameraman walked in, the camera woman in this case walked in, sat down and said to these people who had wonderful, exciting lives, "What do you like to do?" She says, "Well, mostly we just take a walk, and mostly we come back after supper and we sit down with the dog and the cat and we read, and when we get tired we go to bed. When we get up we do the same thing all over again." I said, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Well, I'm so glad that you enjoy your time up here in the North Country in Champlain. We spend a lot of time on this program promoting the North Country for all the things you mentioned and many, many more, and had a great time.
I just want to point out something. He didn't mention where he bought. He bought property from my Uncle Ronald, and without Carl and Marlene Shank, that ice storm of '98 would have been a much more harrowing experience for my Uncle Ronald. These people came through for them in a big way.
We never come up to Moores. We never come up to the Northern Tier without talking about the ice storm. I just drove by Earl Parker's in West Chazy in the Slauson Road. Earl and Pat and their whole family are very good friends of ours from way back, and Calvin and I went up there after the ice storm, and I thought there's no way this guy is going to survive with his farm, with his sugaring business, or anything else. But he did. Give me a little bit about what your reflections of that ice storm time were like in 1998.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that I had been through an ice storm previous to moving here, and that's what really got me through it, I think. I believe it was 88 or 89. There was a terrible ice storm downstate, and I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes,
but anyway,
I do very well.
it was about 3 weeks, and it was a very harrowing experience, and so that more or less set us up for this one. We kind of knew what to do, and what we had to do actually to get our neighbors through it. And I really miss my neighbor that passed away, and I was just I was just surprised that he never had any stories like the ice storm of '98, and he didn't. And it was just an unbelievable thing. But we got through it together as neighbors, as farmers, as just friends, getting through it. But it was an awful experience. I hope we never see it again.
Don't be a chicken. Come on over here a minute. I just want.
I'm camera shy.
I heard you say friends. We had to get your. Just wanted to say hello to you because you are a team after all.
Hi,
Aren't
Gordy.
we a lovely couple? It's such a pleasure to meet you and to see what your philosophies are, because sometimes people who've lived here all their lives find it difficult to express their feelings about why they like it here. Because my father lived here before my but to see transplants from downstate come up here, buy a piece of property and raise a little hay and have a little fun, that's wonderful. And you know, for some reason it takes things like that devastating ice storm back in 1998 to bring these people together. Neighbors reintroduced to each other. Can I borrow your generator for a minute?
Exactly, right.
Did you have a generator back then, or did you?
Well, I have to tell you a real funny story about that. We had gone downstate a couple months prior to the ice storm, and I was downstate, and I walked into Home Depot, and then I had come out, and I went up to visit the people that my wife was staying with, and I said to her, you know, we have this new house, and I said, we have the generator panel in it. We don't have a generator. And I have a very, very bad suspicion that we're going to need it pretty soon. So
I thought women are the only ones that have those intuitions.
So I said to her, I said, I know you're not going to be happy because it's right around Christmas time, but I'm going to go and get it. And I did, and when the ice storm hit, it wasn't even out of the box, believe it or not. So
Come on.
Yeah. So we were just fortunate that, I don't know, it was just
Oil it up, gas it up, and crank it up.
it was
right?
just an intuition that made me buy it that
You
day.
know, the strange part of it is, a similar thing happened to me. One of my sons worked up in the Adirondack region, Lake Placid, Saranac Lake region, working at camps, and a guy had bought a beautiful little generator and never used it. It sat outside for 2 or 3 years, and the guy left or sold the camp or did something. My son said, do you want to buy a generator? I said, how much? And he named a price which seemed very reasonable to me. I said, I don't know if we'll ever use such a thing. Well, let's bring it home and put it out in the garage. Well, during the ice storm, I dubbed it Jenny the Generator. And it went 24 hours a day and night, keeping my sump pumps running and going around to all my friends and neighbors and keeping their sump pumps running. And it had I joke about it because it had 2 plugs on the outside, one for the sump pump and one for the coffee pot. And it sat on the tailgate of my Bronco and just ran and ran and ran. And I said, thank you, God, wherever you are, for giving us that generator and getting us through the ice storm.
That's what got us through.
Isn't that amazing? So now you don't have any livestock.
No, I have no livestock. What I do is, as a neighbor and as a friend, I have another friend there, Ed Mayo, over on the Ridge Road, and I bring in heifers to keep the pastures down in the summertime. So, you know, that pays me back too, because if I didn't have the heifers in there, I'd have brush. So they're doing me a favor, and I'm doing him a favor, and everybody's happy. So that's the way you have to look at it. What can you do for your neighbor to help them out? I mean, the farmers are in a tough spot today as it is, and you know, whatever we can do, even a little, something small like that, it might save them.
We spend a lot of time talking about and to farmers in the North Country. These appreciation days, we go to a couple of them every year and just find out what it's like for the farmers. And I wasn't kidding when I said a lot of these family farms are falling by the wayside.
Yes.
Calvin brought a very stark statistic to me the last time we did one of these shows, and he said last year there were how many farms? 1,000 or 500?
I think it was 500 a million acres.
500 and a million acres or whatever farms had gone out of business in the previous year, and just in New York State alone. And I love this I love the whole North Country. I'm particularly fond of St. Lawrence County because I spent a lot of years growing up over there in the St. Lawrence River. Every year when we camp over at Coles Creek, I do a lot of bike riding. It doesn't help this, but I still do a lot of bike riding. And I go up and down the back roads, Route 37, and all the back roads to the little towns, and it grieves me. Every year I drive by another farm that used to be bustling family farm 50 years ago, 60 years ago when I lived there, and the roof's falling in. And it's a real tragedy.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how we're going to promote farming for the next generation. It's very difficult for a parent to say to their kids, take over the farm, when they've watched their parents lose money for the last 15 years with
Yes.
milk prices the same as they were in the 1980s.
It's true.
But there's a lot to be said for that life. And for the life you've chosen in your retirement years, how fortunate you
Yes,
are to enjoy
we are. That we
good
agree.
health
Yes.
Yep.
and good friends in the North Country. And
Yes.
it's one thing for Calvin and I who've been here he's been here every day of his life just about, and I've been here for the last,
All 37 years.
We know better.
you and a few dead guys who never missed 39 like Jack Benny.
You know, again, we could have picked anywhere to move to, and we just loved it here. And we found it to be a great place. And then after a few years of looking around for some land, we found this magnificent spot, and that was it. The day we saw it, we both looked at it and said, this is it. This is where we're going to live. So
Isn't that funny? We talked about intuition before, but sometimes we know things, don't we? I've had so many people drive by, tell me that the house they live in, they drove by when they were teenagers 40 years ago and said, someday I'm going to live there. It's just a feeling you have. So you looked at that property and said, yep,
this is it.
this is the
Yep.
place.
This
X
is it.
marks the spot. How many acres did I ask you that?
We have 43 acres.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
it's not a big farm, but it's not too small either. It's just enough room to stretch. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I didn't mean to tie you up here all day, but you have a
That's
wonderful story to tell. You're charming people, and it's great to get your different perspective on the North Country. We spend a lot of time talking about it, and we love it, and it's great to see you do too.
We do.
yes,
I'm
we
glad
do.
you came by.
Yeah. Thank you.
We don't even like to go down home to visit anymore, but we do. It's too hectic.
Yeah,
It is too hectic.
Yes,
There are a
it
lot
is.
of beautiful
Too
areas down
congested.
there too, but the congestion is something I couldn't bear. I lived on Long Island for 4 years, and that Long Island Expressway
Yep.
is just not my idea of a good time. I mean, there are enough stresses even for retired people without going and just jumping right into the frying pan and
True.
with all those lanes of traffic. No, I'll let somebody else do the driving. Thank you both for
Thank
meeting
you.
us, and,
Thank
and
you.
good luck with your little farm up
Thank
in
you.
Champlain.
Thank you very much.
Righto.
Have a
Hope you
good
get
day.
something to eat.
We'll do that too.
Okay.
There are a lot of Dragoons, but I thought we'd pick one of the young boys here today.
One of the young ones?
Wayne, how you doing again?
I'm doing good.
Seems like only a year since we were here. Yep, it was, wasn't it?
Pretty much a year ago.
Appreciation Days going gung-ho again. You told me at 9:30 this morning they were jamming the parking lot.
Yeah, they were. This year's been a little bit different than years past. We're starting early, and I think it's because of got a little bit of a weather problem coming up this afternoon, so I think most of them are going to try and get out here early, and especially the ones that come up from Malone Way and Ogdensburg further up, so they're coming out early so they can miss the bad weather.
You know, that's a good point. I mentioned it earlier, but people come from far and wide. Because this place has been around here for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been doing this quite a few years, and yeah, we get some clientele as far up as can.
Do you really?
Yep.
From Quebec and Vermont, and once in a while.
Canada, yeah, that's dropped off quite a bit in the
Has it
last
really?
few years because of the exchange rate, but we still have a few, 10, 15 diehard customers that will still do
I'd
business.
like to come
no matter
over
what.
and say hello anyway on Appreciation Days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get quite a few that do.
We see a few Canadian plates there and a few green plates from Vermont, and
Right.
So that's wonderful to have them here. I don't know how many hundreds of people you put through here every year. Did anybody keep track of that? Like last year?
Last year was right around 1,000.
Come on.
On a good year, it's right around 1,000. Sometimes 900, sometimes a hair more, but
It's a lot
on the
of-
average, we kind of speculate for around 1,000 people.
It's a lot of pancakes.
A lot of pancakes, yeah. And we have a lot of pancakes.
Notice I smile when I say that. I don't know how many pounds of pancake batter it takes to feed them, but I know they start early and work
Yeah.
late. I know
Yeah,
that.
they've been cooking early, and you'd have to go talk to the chefs. They can tell you exactly how much. Ask Rainey, he can tell you how many pounds.
What time did you start out this morning?
Around 6 o'clock,
Did you really?
just to finish getting everything ready. We had a couple truckloads of equipment come in late
That always
yesterday
helps.
afternoon, which kind of put us a little bit behind the 8 ball, but the guys got the stuff together and we managed.
You mean new equipment?
New
Stuff that you have
equipment
to
that
unload and
we were
set up?
expecting earlier, and that we wanted to get.
Murphy's
it's kinda
Law?
hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to sell it when it's sitting in a box. People to look at it, so you got to assemble it, and that takes time.
You know, as we said before, we just interviewed another great couple who moved here from Champlain. This is a pretty good part of the North Country. Sometimes we don't appreciate it because we're here every day, all the time. And like you just said before we started the camera again, yeah, the winters can be rotten. This winter wasn't so bad.
No.
It really is a pretty good place to live and to raise a family, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Overall, we have some rough winters, but we're accustomed to it, and that's why we live here. We know what to expect. This past mild winter, was pretty great for everybody, but unless you had a snow sled or selling fuel, but overall, you see in the news and that these places have hurricanes and tornadoes and these big major floods. We've had flood and ice storm in the past, but overall, it's pretty nice to live around here.
What are farmers talking about these days? What's the biggest things that are on their minds?
I think water is a big one on the agenda. We're 10, 12 inches below normal for rainfall, and with not a lot of snow this winter, we're going to still need quite a bit more rain before these crops go in this spring.
Now that's just on a general basis. How about the wells and things?
Oh yeah, definitely. Quite a few farmers have had to re-drill wells, and some go down deeper in their wells, and that's been a big issue. You just look at Lake Champlain. I know the lake has come up some recently, but overall, that's extremely low for this time of year.
Just listening to some reports from a friend of ours, John Hart, out in Peru, who follows the weather on a regular basis. And it looks like March isn't doing too bad for moisture, but there were a lot of months before that when we hardly got any.
That's the thing, we're going back to last summer where it's being dry. It takes an awful lot to bring that back up, but there's places that are worse than us. We're dry here, but there's other places that are drier than us.
And there's still a little time to play catch up.
Oh yeah.
If the man upstairs is hearing us today.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. And we're recording this in the morning, and I'm sure we're going to get some moisture and quite a bit of it before we're through tomorrow. We just hope it's not in a form that we can't drive through.
Well, that's it. Hopefully we'll get the moisture where it'll just soak in the ground and not run off. All of it run off. That's where we need it to go, is to soak in the ground. That's going to be the most beneficial.
So what kind of a year has it been for you personally?
Personally?
As you look back in the past year with your family, I know your kids are fantastic bowlers. Is that something we want to talk about?
Well, they're getting a lot better. They've been bowling. The oldest one, Mark, he's been bowling on a school team for 2 years, and the youngest one, Dan, he just started this year, his first year on the school team, and they've come a long ways. I gotta give them credit.
Where do they go to school?
PHS, Plattsburgh High.
Now I remember Sandy used to be the bowling coach there for years, and she's since retired. Who's the coach now?
Oh, she's.
I put him on the spot.
I'm not sure of his name. I knew it, but
I apologize to him. Do you know Calvin?
Sorry about that. But
Calvin's normally the one that pulls my chestnuts out of the fire. But
if you see Dan's around here somewhere, he can tell you the coach's name.
So both kids really enjoy it. Your older boy's getting very good, huh?
Yeah, he's improved tremendously, but he's practiced a lot. But that's what it takes. It takes a lot of practice. He started last season. He ended up with a 160 average, which is real good for your first season, and
it's better than I ever had.
And he's up this year, 190 average area. So he's improved
great.
a lot, and he enjoys it. He loves bowling.
Like any other sport, you have to do a lot of it, to get good at it.
Well, that's it. It takes a practice. It's a kind of a hard sport to practice because you have to go and pay to practice at it. It's not like basketball or baseball where you can just go outside and practice for free. You have to, it's a different situation.
Yeah. Let's talk about what it's like to set up for an occasion like Appreciation Days. First of all, the concept is it's nice to say thank you for people who've supported you through the years. You've been good to your customers, but they've been pretty good to you through some lean years and some great years for the last, since when did this place start? 50-something?
1953.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have
So that's the idea, right?
definitely. We have a lot of loyal customers. Nice customers. We appreciate all the business that we get, and like that's what this day is for. It's customer appreciation to, just show the people that, give them a little bit of, I guess what you want to call
demonstrations
it.
of equipment and a little bit of appreciation with
That's what, just appreciation for, that they've been supporting us, and we just want to, give them a meal and show them what we have to offer for the upcoming season.
And boy, they do chow down too. Farmers are hardy group. They they get into the pancakes and the sausage and the.
They're hard workers, and they have some pretty good appetites. That's good. That's good.
That's great. So you do it from early in the morning till a certain time at night?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock till 7 o'clock.
That's really great. And then you bring, as I said, you bring a few factory representatives because you represent all kinds of equipment here, right?
Right. Yeah, we have different reps from quite a few different companies here today, and something different that we're doing this year is our Kinsey corn planters. We've been selling them for 2 years now, and I think we got 10 Kinsey corn planters out. We're having a little service seminar at 1:30 this afternoon.
Oh.
And seeing years past, we like sometimes have something on the Monday night before, but it's hard to get the customer's time is valuable, and it's hard to get them out 2 days in a row away from the farm. So we're just tying it in with our Customer Appreciation Day. Just a little service seminar on servicing their corn planter for the upcoming season.
Seems to me like maybe your kids didn't have to go to school today. Was today or was that yesterday? What?
No, today, one of them has off today. One's got a test today, so he couldn't get off. So.
Okay.
But
Just had to clear that little detail up.
yeah.
Wayne, it's a holiday, yeah. Wayne, thanks so much for allowing us to come up here every year to meet you and to meet your family and to talk about Dragoons and see what farmers are doing and thinking about in the North Country, because we care a lot about them and about you and about this part of the northeast portion of New York State. It's a pretty decent place.
Oh, well, I just like to thank you guys, all the time you spend on hometown cable. We just, I know everybody in our family appreciates, what you do for the communities, and just hope everybody else appreciates what you do, and, to give you your donations that I'm sure you guys will put to a worthy cause. We donate, and everybody that watches, we kind of like to see everybody help donating, because your programs are, we all watch them, and they're beneficial to our community. We got a small communities, and you still learn a lot of what you put on, and we appreciate that. And I just also like to thank all the customers for coming today, and we appreciate you. And if anything we can help you with, just give us a call. And I'd just like to also thank all the volunteer help.
Oh yeah.
During this day.
Oh yeah.
To cook the pancakes and sausage, that kind of clientele takes a lot of manpower, and we only have so much here that we have to still concentrate on our job, and we have outside local people come in to cook the pancakes and sausage, and we really appreciate what
They seem to have
they're doing for us.
They have a good time at it too.
Oh, they do. They enjoy it. They enjoy it, and we enjoy having them because they do real good at it. Some of them, and Rainey and Mike and Bruce and them, they've been failing. Well, there's still quite a few of them, but they've been doing it for quite a few years, and they enjoy it, and we enjoy having them help us.
And these are all people who really care about the rest of the North Country, their own family and kids, like Phelan worked with kids for such a long time. He and I are on the county youth board together, and so we get his opinion of what's going on in the northern tier all the time, and it's great to do that.
Definitely.
I think it's a good idea to spend a little moment talking about what program you're watching. I talk to a lot of people in the North Country in my job as a crime victims advocate and all the other things that I do to attach myself to things I like in the North Country. People comment, wow, I just happened to turn the TV on the other night and I was clicking through the channels and I saw you up at Dragoons or interviewing basketball players and coaches and referees and stuff, and hey, that's really fun. Did you just start doing that? Well, no. I've been doing it for almost 5 years with Calvin. Calvin, think about this, Calvin. It's next year it'll be 20 years, right? 20 years since Calvin decided to do something like this. And the late Bob Venn, may he rest in peace, was a great champion of the little guy in the North Country and spent so many times with Calvin going out into the hinterlands, into people's homes that were rich and poor, and discovering the best about the North Country. And he did something like 500 similar programs, which we like to air from time to time on your local cable system, wherever you might be watching this now. His program was called What's Going On Here. So when I started with Calvin after Bob died, then we started to call it Our Little Corner. And every once in a while, Calvin and I amaze ourselves, because we'll sit in the chair at his house or mine, and he'll bring out a list of the programs we've done over the first few years, and we just reflect. And it's amazing how many different kinds of people we've met, how many places we visited far and wide in the North Country, and how many diverse kinds of subject matter we've covered. And you're right, overall it does have a good effect on the North Country, because it does let people know what their neighbors are doing.
That's it exactly, you know. Sometimes you don't, some shows I've watched, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
And
You don't
I'm
know
sure
what's in your own neighborhood or down the road, and mostly we've discovered hidden talents. People who are carvers, or people who make model railroads or airplanes or something. You had people who are musicians, or people who did something in a former life, like this couple that we just met before. They worked in a completely different business down in Hyde Park, New York, came up here and bought a piece of property, and now they're what we might call gentlemen farmers. And it's great to have that. So
definitely.
yeah, I thank you for tooting our horn a little bit, and sometimes we forget to toot our own. But I think what we do is fun, and as far as I'm concerned, it is important.
You know, we appreciate it. You know, just like you're talking about Bob Venn, you know, he'll always be remembered in everybody's hearts. And, you know, that's it. This small community, and it's very enjoyable to watch it and to see all the shows. You know, I watched it the other night about the hospital. I had no idea about the situation down there, but it's very enjoyable, and keep doing a good job.
Calvin and I have learned a lot. It's a great education. My problem is I forget a lot of the things we do, and Calvin will say, well, in 1998 we went to, and I'll say, oh my gosh, who was this and what did we do there? Calvin comes up with a name, and then I'm off and running. Wayne, thanks again for having us here today, and have a great life, will you?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gordy. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, we're back again. I got Jane Gregg next to me. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's too bad a lot of the good stories get told before he presses that on button. But never mind, we decided to capture a few on tape today. Welcome to the open house here
Thank
today
you.
and Customer Appreciation Days.
Thank you.
Now, you've had a connection with farming for a long time around here, haven't you?
Well, ever since I married into farming. I wasn't involved in it before that, though.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
Where were you brought up?
Just outside the city of Albany.
My goodness, another transplant.
Yeah,
One
I
guy
went to
from Hyde
college.
Park.
I went to college in Plattsburgh.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And while I was doing my graduate work, I met my husband, and that's how I wound up here.
Isn't it amazing what paths we go down in
Yeah.
life, huh? You never dreamed you'd ever settle down in the northern tier of Clinton County when you were a young kid?
I didn't even know that it existed.
Really? So you started
No.
out in Plattsburgh State and then
Yeah.
branched out, and one day you said, okay, let's go up north. Where do you live, Jane?
In Shazy. We have the dairy farm on Route 9.
Oh, yeah.
Senator Clinton came to our farm this past summer.
Did she really?
Yeah. You guys didn't know about
Did
it?
you
Jack
have-
Ledoux was there.
Did you have her milk a cow?
No.
No, that wouldn't have worked. They don't
No, we didn't.
They don't learn how to do that in Chappaqua, I don't think.
Well, we didn't allow anybody into the barn for biosecurity reasons.
Okay.
So.
I'll believe anything you tell me. What was she doing at your farm?
She was up in the North Country for the raising of the part from the boat.
Oh, yeah, Valcour, yeah. I
Down in
remember that.
Valcour?
Yeah.
And she was supposed to go meet with some dairy farmers outside Lowville after touring the Fort Drum, but there was a vote that came up in Congress about her health care issues that she was involved in, and she didn't have time to go out there. So kind of spur of the moment, they asked for somebody to volunteer farm, and we had Farm Bureau members come to our farm, and we talked to her. She was supposed to be there for 40 minutes, but she stayed for an hour and a half, and she was quite knowledgeable about agriculture in New York State.
We'll take any publicity.
Wanted our input and wanted to know what we wanted her to do for us, and so
Like
it was an interesting experience.
Calvin and I say quite often, you have to take advantage of every opportunity to promote farmers and farming here in the North Country.
I mean, when your senator wants to know more about an issue that's close to you, it doesn't make sense to ignore them. She was asking for the information, so we got together, and Joe Drew was there too, and so it was kind of bipartisan. So.
Well, we'll just see in the future what feedback we get from Washington, won't we? Huh?
There's something in the paper today about her stance on the farm bill too.
Yeah.
I only glanced at it.
Well, you've been involved in a little bit about the politics of farming for a long time. You've served on some organizations. Tell me about that.
Okay. Well, my husband is the treasurer for the Clinton County Farm Bureau, and I go with him all the Farm Bureau meetings. And in the last few years, since our kids have grown up, we've gotten involved in going down and lobbying the legislature for Farm Bureau. We went down a few weeks ago and represented Clinton County down there, met with Chris Ortloff and Betty Little and Peter Rappis from Senator Stafford's office. And then we met with a couple of, let's see, where are they from? Brooklyn. A couple of assemblymen from Brooklyn are the adopted ones for Clinton County. We meet with them every year. And one is quite pro-agriculture. He actually spent some of his childhood on his grandparents' farm in North Carolina and was a member of FFA. And he's quite supportive of agriculture. The other one, he seems to pass us off to his aide every time we go down there. We haven't actually seen him in quite a few years, but. And then I'm also involved with Cooperative Extension in Clinton County. I got involved with the agricultural committee, it's the advisory committee, and then they got me to run for the board of directors.
Good for you.
So I'm on the board of directors for Clinton County.
We hope we can infuse some.
We got a new executive director.
You do?
Yeah, the announcement's been made public, so it's not new news, but.
Who is it?
A Dr. Lee Evie. He's currently living in Saipan.
That's interesting, all by itself.
Yeah, he's going to be officially start May 20th. And he's going to be executive director for Clinton County and for Essex County. He's going to divide his time between the two.
I started to say it would be very nice if we can infuse some new life into the Clinton County Cooperative Extension.
Oh, yeah.
We've had such a strong organization here in the past.
Mm-hmm.
As you may know, I was on the radio here for a long time, 36 years. And we worked.
That's when we had candy bars.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Well, we worked with Cooperative Extension, and we had canning seminars on the air and how to plant your garden. And they had a big staff and lots of money to work with back in the 1960s and 70s. And since then, like so many other things, the money is being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very difficult to maintain a viable organization for farmers when you don't have the money or the staff. So I really appreciate the fact that people like you are getting involved.
Yeah. Of course, Cooperative Extension is more than just for farmers. There's a lot of food nutrition and horticulture. In fact, those two areas, and 4-H in particular, seem to be really expanding. And our challenge is to find enough funds to help them.
I know.
Because the legislature is as tight as it is, and they've given us level funding for the last, I believe, about 10 years or so.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And in fact, they wanted to cut us back 10%, and Joe Drew worked his magic and at least helped us to be level funding. But
as only Joe knows how to do, too.
I've gotten requests from Amy Ivy in the horticulture department for an assistant, and from Sherry, what's her last name? I'm drawing a blank.
That's all right. Amy does such a super
Yeah,
job.
and Sherry with 4-H
Yeah.
has asked for assistance too, but unless we can, maybe Dr. Evie will have some new inventive ideas on funding them so we can get the extra funding for our project.
Sometimes, they call it creative funding, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
If you can't get it from one stone, you got to go and squeeze another
Maybe he'll be
one,
good at finding grants and
That's what it takes
getting
in
money.
this day and age.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's good to mention Cooperative Extension so it gets back on the mind of some people who may be viewing this
Yeah.
program.
Oh yeah. We're working on strategic planning for the future, and anybody with any input, we'd be more than welcome to listen to them.
A lot of
Get
people,
some help from other people.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people who view this program aren't aware of the scope and energy involved with the Clinton County Farm Bureau. I can remember
Cooperative Extension,
or
which one?
Cooperative
Yeah.
Extension, both. But the Farm Bureau is a wonderful organization, and the fact that you do go down and bring these farming issues up to our representatives in Albany and in Washington, I think are very, very important. What kinds of things did you talk about down there with the folks when you went down? What kinds of issues?
Let's see. There was the issue of the healthcare programs that the state wants to push, like Child Health Plus and Healthy New York. But the problem is they're requesting the counties to fund these programs more heavily. And the problem is when the counties are already stressed and they need to fund these programs, then one of the main sources is property taxes. And that falls very heavily on the farmers' shoulders. And we think the programs are a good idea, but we don't want the counties to have any more unfunded mandates. There's enough with Medicaid already. And so that was one of the issues. Wildlife issues, especially deer. Not as much in this part of the state, but there was a big problem with it around the state. In fact, Assemblyman Little said she hit one with her car. So even the assembly people aren't immune to what happens. And some of the other issues. Oh, now I'm kind of drawing a blank.
You didn't have to remember everything. I just want let people know that you were active on their behalf when you went down there.
Yes, and I'm also involved in the advisory committee for the Lake Champlain Basin program.
My goodness, is there no end to this
they
woman's...
They need a representative on the Basin program from Farm Bureau, and Mel Irwin, he had the position, but when one of his young children developed cancer, he wanted to spend more time with his family, so he resigned from the position. So he asked me to send in a resume, and they accepted it. And I've been there for about 2 years now, and it's very interesting.
Most of our viewers wouldn't realize that all these things are tied together, but this Lake Champlain Basin project is a really big deal.
Oh yeah, and the funding that they get helps the farmers to reduce the phosphorus going into the lake.
That's the whole point.
But now they're finding a lot more of the phosphorus that's getting into the lake. In fact, it was on the news just this last couple days ago, especially in Burlington, in the bay down there, is coming from urban runoff and people overusing fertilizer and pesticides on their lawn and garden. So that's another issue that Cooperative Extension, all my groups are kind of intertwined.
Yeah, they are.
Cooperative Extension wants to get more into informing the homeowners on the proper use of those products, because they're getting to be a bigger problem for the lake, because they put more of that into the lake than the farmers do. The farmers can't afford to buy these fertilizer and stuff and have it washed into the lake.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of things to think about. We have our ecology to protect in this area, and we have to spend a lot of time talking about and promoting farming. Tell us a little bit about your farm.
We have a dairy farm on the shores of Lake Champlain in the town of Chazy, and it's what I consider by today's standards, a medium-sized freestall setup. And we milk 3 times a day and have a herd average, I'm not sure exactly where it is, 26,500 pounds or better. And it's pretty labor intensive.
It always is.
Yeah, especially the cows don't give you a day off, you know. They don't care if it's Christmas, Easter, your birthday. You've got appendicitis. They just want to be taken care of.
Yeah, we've talked about that so many times.
That's a big issue in Clinton County now is labor issues and finding enough labor. As I told Gary Douglas, as you get more successful and attract more industry here, it's pulling from the labor pool that the farmers draw from, and it makes it harder. And we're not as attractive to enough people.
Well, let's hope that this program helps to change that just a little bit. And it's true. Everything we do is, you've mentioned all these organizations. You mentioned the labor pool here in the North Country. We're training people in technology at places like the Big Addition at Clinton Community College. But it's all a juggling act. It all has to be balanced.
Yeah. Speaking of Clinton Community, the next generation, my niece who lives in the Albany area, in fact, she grew up in the same house that I grew up in,
isn't that
has
neat?
got herself a boyfriend from Shazy Lake. And now she was going to go to Hudson Valley, but now she's decided to go to Clinton Community.
Amen to that. I love it.
So it's starting all over again with another generation moving up here.
Tell her I'm on the foundation up there. Might help her out with scholarships if she needs
okay, I'll let her know
help with
that.
books and things.
Yeah.
Jane, thanks so much for talking with us today. You didn't know you were going to get to tell your entire life story while you were here.
No.
But that's the way we are, and we like to get a little profile of people when we talk to them. I want to personally thank you for your involvement in so many groups and events to help the North Country. It's a good thing to have people like you around. We're going to be nice to you for a long
time
time.
to do it.
Thanks so much for being with us today.
Okay.
I'll tell you, we're rubbing elbows with very, very important people here today. Jack LeDuc, we already heralded you the minute we drove in and saw your van here. It's got to be a big event in Moores when it brings Jack LeDuc from WCAX Channel 3 television over here.
Well, I've come to this previously, and I'm in the area a lot. I try to follow the farming scene as much as I can. It's an important issue in Clinton County, and it's an issue that's a very serious one now because we're losing farmers every day. I talked to Jack Dragoon this morning, and Jack was saying they've lost quite a few farmers this year. One farmer leaves and a bigger farmer takes over 10 or 15 farms. So that's becoming a big issue in Clinton County and a lot of other northern counties, St. Lawrence, Franklin.
We've been talking about it all day here today, and Calvin gave us an awful statistic last time we were doing a similar show like this a few weeks ago. And I think the report was that the state had lost like 500 family farms in the previous years, something like 1 million acres of farmland. And wow.
Yeah, and it's leaving this northern tier with an industry that's been around for well over 100 years, a very strong industry, and just where it's headed, absolutely no one knows. See fewer and fewer younger people going into farming, and the farm industry spin-off, the ancillary businesses like Dragoons here. There's fewer and fewer international harvester dealers and farm equipment dealers around the area. So that's another loss the county loses in tax revenue.
Not to mention that farmers and farm families are nice people, aren't they?
Farm families, you couldn't find nicer people. You couldn't find people more ready to help one another or anybody else that comes along. It's a system that the families grew up with.
We're going to spend some time pretty soon because we've been talking about this for a long time. Jack went to Nicaragua a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, yes, but I don't have the program ready on Nicaragua. It's the program on Peru we're going
Peru.
to.
Oh, okay. That's
The
one we were
president,
looking-
the president, where President Clinton,
Oh, yes,
Bush
yes,
was
yes.
just at that on Saturday. He met with the president of Peru, and we were there just a short time ago.
Little bit of security there that day when the president arrived. Wasn't
There's a lot of security anywhere the president goes, even in Saranac Lake when he visited there. That was a different president, though.
Oh God. We've been
We don't
around
want to
through.
get our presidents mixed
Jack
up.
and I have been. We've worn our way through life through quite a few presidents since the early days. I first met Jack back in the night. When did you come back here?
70.
Was it 1970?
Yep.
And working in the television business. And when I first built the field house, I can remember going in there cold mornings to cover some of the early hockey practices, and Jack
Oh, yeah.
was there. And
Yeah, that's early in the morning, too, 5, 6 o'clock.
Might have shared a cup of coffee back in those days. And
One or two.
we've
Yep.
covered some interesting things down through the years, from bobsled races to major travesties and tragedies to who knows what. And you're still hanging in there and enjoying every minute of what you do.
Yeah, I'm too old to retire, so I guess I just keep right on going.
Oh, we keep talking about it. Jack drives down every single day from Saranac Lake to have his little studio over there at on Sesame Street, right?
On Sesame Street. Yep, we have an office there and transmit the stuff to Burlington every day.
You know, I talk about that, and we won't want to belabor that here because we're going to talk to a lot of other people, but you and I talked 20, 25 years ago about how we wish television stations could go live with material. We talked about you rushing to the airport with film and trying to get it on. And now you can take that satellite truck, or actually you can broadcast live from your little office here anytime you want
Oh
to.
yeah, we do a lot more live material than we ever did before. We have satellite trucks now that we take right to the scene. We have microwave trucks, much smaller, more compact. We take right to the scene. We were at the City Hall just 2 weeks ago on the centennial of Plattsburgh, and we went live from the from City Hall on
Isn't
that.
that cool?
But it is more compact. It's getting more accessible all the time, and we're investing heavily into the live truck aspect of television coverage today.
CNN started that all way back when during the Gulf War and got involved in live broadcasting, and the whole war effort back then took on a whole new idea because we could watch it happen. And nowadays, I mean, here is something that you and I didn't even talk about way back when, where a reporter can be there in Afghanistan on a satellite phone and broadcast, standing right there with nothing more than a little camera and a telephone.
That's exactly
that
right.
amazing?
Yep. It's amazing, but you still want to consider going live is nice, but what the reporter has to say is more important. And going live just for the sake of going live is something some television stations do. But you want to remember that the important thing is what news they have to give you, the quality of the news they have to give you. That's still the important thing.
Yeah.
If it's instantaneous or an hour later or a half hour later, you're always better, as far as we're concerned, to wait and get it right. It's better to be right than to be first.
Yeah, and there's something that network executives and local executives for television stations talk about all the time. There's still room for good reporters. Thank God, or you and I
Not
wouldn't
much
still
room,
be-
but a little bit.
The wider we get, the less room there is, Jack, I'll tell you that. Hey, Jack, thanks for talking with us. We can't wait till we do the program on Peru.
Always a pleasure.
You actually spent a lot of time in South America way back when.
Yeah, I've in total of all, I've spent close to 10 years in Spain, Central America, and South America. A lot of fun.
You've been places and done things, and you've also been a great friend of mine for a long, long time. We appreciate you stopping by today, buddy.
Wouldn't miss it. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Boy, we're in the back room. When you get in the back room, hey, everything stopped when the camera started here. We had all kinds of sound and stuff going on. We're having a good time. You're Dan, right?
Yep.
How are you today?
Good.
Great. We're talking about the bowling game. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you get today off of school?
Well, it's a Dragoon holiday.
Of course it is. It's on the calendar. right next to, just before Easter, right?
Yep.
Right after Palm Sunday. So what's going on in your life?
Not too much. Bowling just got over, and that's about it.
So what was it like this year? We heard you did pretty good.
Yeah, I did all right. No, I'll do better next year.
What does all right mean? I mean, we need specific information here.
At about a 160 average.
What's wrong with that?
It's all right. My first year.
How many matches do you bowl in the course of a year?
I think 16.
16? So you get to do some traveling.
We travel 8 places all year.
That's good. Well, what's the farthest place you go?
Probably Mariah.
That's a fur piece up the road. I've never watched any bowling matches in Mariah, but
Yeah, it's quite small.
I've been to a lot of football games at Linney Field, I guarantee you that. The old days where the radio station had a broadcast from the top of a bus, and if Mariah was losing, you had to figure out how you were going to get out of town.
Yeah.
Is there a bowling alley right in town?
Well, there's one in Rouse's Point in Plattsburgh. Usually go to the one in Plattsburgh during the week, and on the weekends go to the one in Rouse's Point.
We were talking with your dad, Wayne Dragoon, about how much you have to bowl to get really good at it, like your brother.
Yeah.
He's up to what, about a 190 now?
Yeah. He's doing pretty good.
So it was just kind of a natural thing for you to get into bowling this year?
Yeah. Well, my dad started me in it, and it's something I like, so.
I never asked him, is your dad a good bowler?
Yeah. He's got about a 190 average, too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Father and son are duking it out, huh?
Yeah. They're pretty close.
I would imagine that by next year you'll be getting in the 180 range.
Yeah. I hope so.
As I started to say, how many games a week would you bowl during the season, for example?
For probably 10 or 15.
Or 15?
Yeah. Well, 12 for the school, and just we usually go besides that too. So.
Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Your brother is too? I haven't bowled in many years, but I threw one ball to open up a tournament last year. I was panic-stricken because I thought I was going to be killed. I couldn't remember the approach. I got 9, so I guess it wasn't too bad. But I bowled left-handed. I always had the worst hook in the world. I was never a very good bowler, but I sure did have a good time. It's still a fun sport, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not many lefties anymore. There's mostly righties. Left-handed, they usually have an advantage, but
What I did certainly wasn't an advantage. I noticed that several alleys would clear out on both sides of me every time I bowled. Well, Dan, it's fun to be up here today. Are you helping out?
yeah.
You better be. Everybody's got to do their part. We're supposed to be moving right now.
Yeah.
See you later, Dan. Have a
See ya.
great day.
Before we leave, Gordy, I'm leaving this responsibility to you. We got to hope that Jack still got his father's bowling ball here. Dan is a 4th generation bowler. Jack was a good bowler, and Jack's father, Floyd, was a bowler. And Jack's father's bowling ball was here last time I was here about a month ago. So I want you to see that before we leave.
It's probably made out of wood. I don't know what they made of. I forgot what they originally made bowling balls out of before plastic came along. I don't know. I didn't start bowling back in those days. Well, we're back here where all the action is, boy.
Get Rainey there. He's not doing anything. Rainey never does anything there.
How are you, Ray?
Hey, very good.
How many years you been doing this? 226?
Well, at least 20, I guess. I don't know, somewhere in that area.
Keeping all these people in shape back
Oh,
here?
yeah. Yeah, they're working pretty well.
How did you manage to get turkey back here when we're serving pancakes and sausage?
Well, that's for the help.
Oh.
We don't get paid much money here, so we get it in the food.
They sell outdoor barbecue cookers here, and I thought I could smell turkey on the way in this morning. They were cooking turkey out front, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, very good. We got 2 new people this year. We got Bruce Sample, and you can talk to them, Bert Snide.
Well, we're gonna talk to some other people too. I just wanted our
They're around. He just retired a year ago, so he's around now for a while.
I just wanted our viewers to get an idea what it's like in here. I mean, the one thing to go out there and get your fork working, but in order to produce it, that's pretty good, huh?
Try a piece of that turkey, Gordy.
You want me to try it while
Chicken out of his barbecue outside.
That's a chicken?
Yes, that's chicken.
Oh boy.
Can't stop at one.
Oh boy. How long can we stay here? No. Finger licking good. Oh my. Wait, I might have to skip the pancakes and sausage. Let me get over here, fall over the water jug. Give me some cord. I wrapped it around the water jug. How you doing?
Good.
Who are you?
Gilbert Snide.
This is your first year here, Gil.
No, I've been here quite a few.
Oh, you have?
Before that, yeah. I worked for Guy for 11 years before.
But I mean, back here in the pancake room.
No,
You've done that too?
yes, quite a few years.
It's quite a crew back here.
Yeah, it is there. You get mixed up with some of them there, especially a couple of those there in the middle there.
The minute I picked the microphone up, Phelan said, "How are you going to clean it up back here?"
Yeah.
It gets kind of busy when you got a busy day like this, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It keeps them flopping there and keeps you mixing.
It's an awful lot of fun. I won't take you away from your job, because if I do, Phelan's going to shoot me in the eye with whatever he's doing there. How you doing, young fella?
Good, you?
Who are you?
Bruce Sample.
Have you done this before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, quite a few years. Helped out. Yeah.
How can you get everyone perfect? That's what I want to know.
Well, just luck out, I guess.
Did you ever burn yourself working on that grill?
No.
Let's hope this isn't the first year you do, right? Great to talk to you. Hey, never mind war stories. Let's talk about.
You know why
serious.
these guys say they never, you haven't seen them before? Because they always come in after you leave.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, see?
When the traffic gets lighter,
When the traffic gets lighter.
Well, this is kind of a busy time today, isn't it, Phelan?
Yes, it is. Very,
fun
very
though,
busy.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I have a good time.
Yeah. Phelan and I serve on the Clinton County Youth Board, and Phelan's done a lot with and for the youth of the North Country. Any big projects coming up?
Right now we're in the process of talking about the Senior Babe Ruth League. Trying to get some teams in and stuff like that from different areas. So, that's what's on the agenda right now. I'm working on a project of trying to get the referees from soccer and baseball and softball, the umpires, to do some of the county games to help us out. Hopefully we can come up with a viable plan where, it'll be a good plug for them and give them some extra experience.
It's really hard to get umpires and referees these days, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A lot of people don't want to do it because they're scared to make a mistake or scared to get yelled at.
Just because Phelan never made a mistake.
Oh, I make my share of them, believe me.
As do we all. I won't interrupt you too much. I know you guys are real busy trying to get the flapjacks done, but thanks a lot for all you do for the people of the North Country, Phelan.
Well, you too, Gordy, because you do a lot too.
Well, we do have fun, don't we? We do have fun. I guess is this all sausage?
The hot dog's behind the grill and sausage on top.
Oh, yeah? Is that what's going on?
We're still here.
Who are you?
Mike Deno.
Mike, glad to have you back again. We having fun yet?
Yeah, every year I'm at the same spot.
You gotta get out of Phelan's way when he's squirting that oil on the grill, though. He's pretty nasty.
Nasty on it, eh?
Boy, that smells good. Oh, boy. Too bad we don't have smells on television. Who are you?
John Aruna.
Are you having fun here?
Oh, yes. Just loads of it.
You guys are you work all day, or do you work in shifts, or how are you doing All day long?
All day, all day.
Oh,
The pay is good. The benefits are great.
If they cool down, you can pick them up with your fingers, right?
Yeah.
Who we got back here cutting the sausage?
Leon Menard.
Leon, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Very well.
What do you think about this group?
Oh, nice group to have.
They're not a bad bunch of guys.
Very good.
As long as they're all here, he has to say that anyway, right? Boy, I'll tell you, this is a first-class operation. I don't think I want that one right there.
That's a special order right there for Phelan's wife.
Is it really? What a group. We do have a lot of fun at the Customer Appreciation Days at Dragoon's up here on Route 11 and Moores. I won't say there's a lot of hot air around here, but the windows are all fogged up, I'll tell you. The balloons are blown up and the line is long. Look at it twist all the way back through without through the garage, and you can tell that this is a pretty popular activity. We've seen young kids and older people and senior citizens and farmers and business people and people who work in agricultural related businesses and just plain Jane Does and John Does that come in from all over the North Country and a couple other counties and even another state and another country to join in the Customer Appreciation Days up here at Dragoons every year. These are your friends and neighbors. Hopefully we'll get to interview a few people, either more today or more next year. It's always a pleasure to come up here. Unfortunately, I got to get out of here and do other things today, and I won't have time to test my prowess with a fork and a knife. But I've consumed enough pancakes and sausage here in past years, so they probably got a chapter in the legend of hogs or happy eaters in the North Country that with my name written right on the top. So thanks to all our North Country people who come out to join each other in good times and bad. It's an awful lot of fun right up here in Moores, New York. Calvin just wanted to get a picture of he called it a push mower, the real type mower. Boy, that's the way we used to do it, Gary, when we were kids.
Yeah,
At least when I was a kid.
I'm sure Calvin's still using one. You know how he is.
He probably is. He didn't want to. He probably trying to figure out where to put gas in it, knowing Calvin. Yeah, we talk about lawn care. Farming has come a long way since I was a youngster and worked on farms, and Calvin too. But you were always brought up around farming and farmers too, right?
Yes, even when we were about 5th grade on, we'd have to come up after school and put nuts and bolts together for Dad there to sell them, and got used to farmers coming in and heard everything about it. We never actually worked on a farm, but we've heard everything about a farm being up here.
Whatever there is to know, or you've worked very close to the business. Yeah. Was there ever any question about you going into this business as a little kid? Did you ever have dreams of sailing away somewhere and becoming a doctor or a lawyer? Or
No, not really.
It was just always understood that you were going to become part of the family business.
We enjoyed it, and now it's a little tougher than it used to be, but we've always did it. We enjoyed it, so we stayed with it.
Thank God there are good times to soften the bad times that we have in life, and this day is always a gas.
Yep.
Calvin and I pulled up. We couldn't believe the cars out there. We just talked to the boys who were slinging pancakes and sausage back there, and they're earning their 2 cents worth today.
It's been pretty busy. I'm sure a lot of them probably try to get here in case that storm hits. They want to get here early, but we normally have a pretty good day. I think that people appreciate it, and we're glad they come.
We see a lot of the same faces year after year and occasional new faces. It's nice to get people together.
Yeah, and small community, always something's going on. Everybody always seems to be around, so it's good for them and it's good for us, and we appreciate it.
What would you do to your arm now that I'm looking at it? I didn't notice that. What is that, a brace?
Yeah, doing something stupid. I got on the ladder with a chainsaw, and I fell off the ladder and broke my arm. That was about 8 weeks ago.
That with a chainsaw?
No, trimming some limbs off a tree in the back.
You're giving me a heart attack just thinking about what you could have done with that chainsaw.
I didn't think I was lucky at the time, but I was pretty fortunate. It could have been a lot worse than it was.
Broke the big bone up there.
The humerus bone, yeah.
The humerus?
Yep.
Cracked it right straight through?
Right straight through.
Did you have a whole arm cast for a while? Or
no,
what?
just something new they do now. It's just a brace, and then I had it in a sling for 6 or 7 weeks, and as the swelling went down, I just keep drawing up the brace and put it back in place.
Golly. You're giving Mike and my heart flutter when you hear about falling off a ladder with a chainsaw in your hand. So there's always good news and bad news about every situation, right?
That's for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Dragoons and the people who come by here. We see Clinton County legislators. We see Bill Bingle, the county administrator, and John Zerlo behind him. And we saw Joe Giroux here before. So we get the big guys and the little guys, right?
Oh, yeah. It's Sam Trombley. Of course, they all know my dad from the town business and stuff. So they always come up and talk to him, and it's good to see them up and around, and they talk to the local people here, and they find out a lot of things that are going on, so it's good.
Yeah, we should mention for those people who might be watching this for the first time that Dragoons is located on Route 11 outside Moores, directly across from the Moores Fire Station and the town complex, which was nice and fresh and new a very few years ago.
Yeah.
Very nice offices. And the fact that your dad is still a town supervisor.
Yeah, he's been doing that as long as I can remember. So.
And before that, in the fire department as part of this community, your whole family.
Yep, him and my brother have both been fire chief. My grandfather was fire chief. So it's right up the ladder all the way through.
We were talking about to Wayne and to Danny and about bowling, and Calvin said there was an old bowling ball around here.
Yep, that was my grandfather's.
Your grandfather's? What the heck is it made out of?
It looks like Fred Flintstone's old ball.
Does
but,
it really?
He
little rough corners there.
My father wanted to have a contest, see who could, whose hand could fill the holes in that ball, because my grandfather had some
big hands.
Pretty good sized hands.
Well, we're going to have to look that up. Is that in Jack's office?
Yep, that's in there.
Oh, I didn't realize until Calvin told me there are generations and generations of bowlers. Did you get into the bowling bit yourself?
I was bowling until I did this. So my brother took my place this year, but we've always bowled. He enjoyed it. Something to do in the wintertime.
And it's great to pass it along to your kids, and they seem to love every minute of it.
Oh, yeah.
The better their averages get, the more they love it.
Oh, yeah. That's when you're bowling bad, it's not too much fun, but when you're bowling good, you really enjoy it.
I didn't realize the kids travel as far away as Mariah. Till Dan said he went to Mariah for his first year's bowling. That's quite a trip.
Yeah. And then his older brother, Mark, they went out to Buffalo for their sectionals this year. So they travel a long ways.
Yeah, it's good. The better you get, the farther you travel, right?
That's for sure, yep.
That's really nice. Well, it's always a pleasure to come up here. I always feel better when I leave here than I do when I'm driving on the way. Everybody was worried about bad weather today, but boy, oh boy, we almost had to hire a sheriff's deputy to direct traffic out there for a while.
There's quite a few people that come in, and our parking lot could be a little bigger, but it does the job. We certainly appreciate you guys coming up. I know we look forward to it every year, and I'm sure people like watching it on TV too, because you guys do such a good job.
It's fun to look at the old ones from way back when, because Calvin's been recording this every year for, what did you say, 13 years maybe?
The 13th one.
13th one here. Time flies when you're having fun. Oh boy. But it's nice to get people together and have your friends come and shake your hand and tell them they're thinking about you and wishing the best for the future. And we do too, my friend.
Yep.
Best of everything the rest of this year.
Yep. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.
Action. Action, camera. All right. Who we got here?
John Roberts.
John, you own the Bowl Mart?
Yeah.
Famous place in Rouse's Point.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking to all the kids here and the adults and fathers and grandfathers that have bowled for years. This is a pretty good bowling community here, right?
Yeah, the kids, the Dragoon boys are really into it there.
And they have been for generations, which I didn't know till Calvin told me today that they got an old bowling ball in Jack's office somewhere.
Oh, yeah, Jack used to be a really good bowler. Yeah. He used to really get into that good.
That's amazing. How long have you been involved with the bowling alley?
2 years now.
Aha.
A couple of years ago, yeah. Me and a friend of mine from Denimora, Steve Sweeney, and we're bringing it back, It's coming good right now,
It's
a lot of
amazing
people are
how
interested.
things go around in circles. Yes?
You heard Wayne say that bowling was tough because your kids practice and you have to pay every time. That's why John bought the bowling alley. His kids practice so much that he needed to cheaper to buy the alley.
That was
That's
it.
like buying a golf course or at least 3 holes of it anyway.
Yeah. It's more of a family thing, There's one of them coming in right here. He helped me out an awful lot last summer. This is my brother, Jimmy.
So ugly, John.
Come right on camera.
On camera, right?
How are you, Jim? Good to see you.
Yeah, he helped me out. We did the lanes last year, the sides with cedar, and it was more of a family operation, And
That's what it takes today, I guess.
it does, But a lot of people are interested, and it's coming really good right now,
Yeah, like I said, the sport of bowling seems to go in cycles.
Yeah.
It'll dip for a while, and all of a sudden you get a bunch of people interested in it. Right now, it seems to. I guess you got in at the right time.
Oh, I did, There's a lot of young kids that are really good around the area, And Northeastern School has a good bowling team, And I hope in the future really doing better than what it is, But it's coming.
And there's a program on television called, what's it called? The guy named Ed there with the Stuckyville ball.
Oh, yeah, that was really good.
You ever watch that show?
Yes, that was good.
That probably doesn't hurt the bowling business.
No, I don't. You know.
To have a popular television show set in a bowling alley.
That's right.
Interesting concept, because the guy is an attorney in a small town called Stuckyville. But it would have been nice if they decided to film it at your place.
That's right, real good. You know. But Calvin don't have no pull for that, so.
No, too bad. That Bowl Mart has been there for a long time. What do you know anything about the history?
It
of
burnt in 1978.
I remember.
Yeah, and they rebuilt in 1980.
When was it first opened? Do you have any?
I have no clue on that. You know, that's way before my time. You know.
Now, how much of it burned?
I don't even remember that. No.
Now, Calvin, you remember the fire?
Yeah, all of it burned. Except
all burnt?
Except for the cement walls, yeah. Yeah, everything's burnt. Yeah.
Started over from scratch, so
Yeah.
you're actually the bowling alleys now would be about 22 years old or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But you have to upgrade them. You had to.
Oh, they're
you had to
doing it.
do a lot of
I got a
work.
company right now out of Niagara Falls in there, as they're working today, and resurfacing the lanes and fixing all the back ends. You know, it's got to be kept up. You know, because they do wear out, but it's doing good.
I got to tell you that Calvin's heard this story before, but I went to high school in Moira, the other side of Malone. They had a little bowling alley there where the crossroads is now.
Crossroad is.
I think we had 6 lanes. I used to set pins there, and they were mechanical lanes back then. Where you had to. Young people now have no idea how they work the ball. The ball comes back, and the pins are set automatically. In those days, you had to reach in behind the alley and step on a bar. And it would push the pins up, and then you pick the pins up. It would stick a metal pin up through the holes, and then you get 2 pins in each hand and set them on, and you could get pretty good at it after a while. Except every now and again you'd be half asleep late at night, and you'd get hit in the head with a pin up in the back. Come a long way since then. with
Oh, a
automatic
long
pin
ways, you
setters.
know.
And now
There's a lot of upkeep to it, you know, but there's a lot better than what it used to be years ago. But
Now they have computerized scorekeeping.
yeah, but they got that about 10 years ago at the bowling alley, but now they got the new ones out that shows you all the graphics and everything. We're not upgraded to that yet, but eventually we'll get that way, you know. Kids like to see that on the screens.
Isn't that amazing? Far cry. Well, there was bowling alleys, you know, back in the 60s and early 70s in Plattsburgh. Everybody bowled. There were hundreds of teams. I bowled 2 or 3 times a week. No matter how much I bowled, I never got any better.
Oh, yeah.
Because the screwdrivers were too good. When I got off the screwdrivers, then the bowling.
Well, that's more enjoyment there than anything else.
It was a good time. It's a good social thing to
It
do,
is,
whether
you
you
know.
get really good at it or not.
And it's good exercise too, you know. A lot of people get it back into it because of the exercise, you know.
Yep.
But
He looked right at my belly when he said that, too.
that's it.
It's great to have you down here today. Good luck.
Thanks.
Enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, thank you.
See you later. I've known Jack Dragoon for years and never knew that there was this bowling goes back to your father, to Floyd, and how about before that?
Well, no.
No, he started the bowling thing?
No, I was bowling lots longer than he had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got so where he brought the grandchildren bowling. So when he would bring him bowling, he would like to bowl, but the alleys didn't have a ball to fit his hand.
Big hand.
Well, I told you about it, so now I want to prove it to you. So
Okay.
now I want you to.
All right, I'm going to reach in here and pick out this bowling ball. It had a huge thumb hole, just a little bit bigger than my thumb.
Try the little finger.
No, can't do that. Can't quite make it in that one. But the thumb hole, we have big hands, Jack
I
and
see
me.
you got a big hand for doing paperwork.
Yeah, well, you know, it didn't always do paperwork. That thumb hole would be a little bit too big for me. So Floyd had a monstrous hand.
Big hand.
Big hand.
Walt Dufort drilled that down Plattsburgh Lanes, and it was the biggest drill he ever drilled a ball on. Then they had to ream it out after that.
Because it wasn't quite big enough.
No.
Isn't
So
that
for
amazing?
jokes, we picked it up and we were cleaning the house out the other day, and I just thought we'd bring it up
It's
here
nice to have it
and
around.
see if anybody could pull the ball up with his.
I wonder what year
Well, don't go way down to the bottom.
Oh.
Anybody can do that.
What year was it drilled? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I would say it goes back. Say my boy, it has to be back 30 years.
30 years.
Someplace in there.
What year would you have started bowling?
I started bowling. Well, wasn't fortunate to have school teams back in that, but about 18 years old.
No kidding. And that was a little bit longer ago than the day before yesterday. 30 years ago.
First time I bowled was back of Montgomery Wars. Was it Nash's down there?
Oh, Nash's Bowling Alley down. It wasn't even called Durkee Street. It was River Street back in those days.
I think I bowled a couple of times in Champlain. Roberts used to have a alley there.
Well, Nash's Bowling Alley hasn't been in existence down there where the city parking lot is for a long, long time. So that was when I was bowling in the Elks Club a long time ago. The old timers were still bowling from Nash's in their 60s, 70s, and some of them in their 80s back in those days.
Oh, yeah. Of course, today, you carried back then 175, 180 average. You're doing good, but today lots of difference in equipment. 200, 225 is pretty common today.
I've got a young grandson who's doing pretty good, about 190 these days.
Yeah,
and his little brother doing about 160 in his first year. Not too bad.
Well, smart second year, I guess he ended up with 193.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I never seen it.
Boy, that's wonderful.
Grandmother said he had a 298 the other day.
Come on.
Practicing, though.
And Calvin missed that?
No, this is just practicing.
Yeah, I know, but it's still nice to see.
Oh, yeah.
It's awful nice to see all but one strike. That's terrific. Well, you know what, Jack? Let me see. Last time I saw Jack and Margaret, they were enjoying a pizza, I think. I looked over and I said, you guys don't ever leave Moore's, do you? You came down. We were out just enjoying a weekend and night out and having a little bite to eat in downtown Plattsburgh and having a lot of fun.
I know there wasn't much left on your plate when you got done.
Not at all.
There was no doggy bag you're carrying out.
I lick the fork really, really good when I leave those places, that's for sure. So, isn't it nice to have all these people come in on your Customer Appreciation Day?
Yeah.
The parking lot was jammed, the tables were full.
I think probably they're coming early because of the weather. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that too. But it's still a big crowd.
Very, very big crowd.
Jack ran into the kitchen to make sure there'd be enough sausage.
Well, I was told that
it could be a little short.
It could be a little short because time will tell. I'm sure there's more around if we need it.
We'll find some more somewhere. There's always a few pigs that we can run a little faster than.
I already made a telephone call.
Oh, you did?
There's some available.
Jack, after all these years, Jack's got a few contacts, believe me. How long have you been involved? Your son was trying to remember how long you've been involved in politics here in Morris. And supervisor, you've been supervisor how long?
Well, this will be on the 27th year.
Wow. Never mind these votes for term limits and all that stuff.
Well,
27th year. And were you in politics at all before that? No?
No.
But in the politics of the fire business.
Well,
for a long, long, long time.
For Jack.
Oh, you're too important for us.
Bill and John.
Oh.
Wow.
We know who that is, too, because it's Bingle and Zerlo. We already got their pictures a while ago.
Well, he's here. I didn't even know they were here.
We've had the Bingle story on Hometown Cable. We've had the Zerlo story. Goodness knows. I don't know if there's any stone unturned with John Zerlo and talking about the old drive-in days and the...
Look at the parking spot they got.
Oh, yeah. Is there a round blue circle with a slash through it out there?
Hey, I gotta show him some pictures here.
Well, you
Can
gotta...
excuse up?
Yeah. I'll tell you, this is one busy, wild, wonderful place during Customer Appreciation Days at Dragoon's up on Route 11 in Moores. Jack Dragoon was so busy talking with VIPs from Clinton County and a couple of customers at the end, plus trying to make sure that they had enough food to support the activities for the rest of the day. So we let him beg off, and we thank him for inviting us up here today. I guess you know that the forecast for snow tonight is already coming true. So Calvin and I are going to be hightailing it for the hills and the warmth of our homes and our offices. We're out in the back the back side lot here at Dragoons to look at some of this fantastic new equipment, the names of which I don't have any clue about, and nobody right now to describe it to us. But once again, we have enjoyed our stay at the Customer Appreciation Days in Moores for the 13th year with Calvin, and I don't know how many, 4 or 5 for me. It's always a lot of fun to meet friends and neighbors and talk to farmers and friends of farmers in the North Country, and that's why we do this, just to let you know that we're pretty proud of the place where we live and work here in Clinton County in New York State. Who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.